Let me throw some music in here. Some Afro beat / James Bond connect. We need a black James Bond. What are we waiting for? We need a black James Bond.
Idris Elba was supposed to be, but it's only so many black movies. I'm not gonna do it.
They're like, we gave you Wakanda, we gave you the Woman King. We're not gonna give you James Bond.
No. Good
evening, everybody. We gave you Ariel. It's Uche and Joku, Sneaker Principal. I'm here with my man A.T. Archie Tyson. It's that time again for the Ivy League Hood Rats. What's going on, my brother?
Ivy League Hood Rats. You the Sneaker Principal?
Sneaker Principal.
You sure? You see it creeping?
What happened? What's creeping? Let me see what you got. What you got? Okay. It's funny because
hold on.
Be the best. Okay. So I don't got heat like that right now. I don't got heat like that.
DJ Kelly.
But
don't do it to it.
I mean, this is a little something, nothing spectacular for y'all out there who are. You might see this and be like, this ain't nothing serious. What's he doing? Because what AT got right there, that's heat. We the best, that's heat. So I didn't see that coming. I really didn't see that coming.
I'm from the hood. So that's some DJ Kelly. I'm from the hood. You gotta have heat.
So this is right here is the Air Jordan 1. I'm sorry, my bad. Air Jordan 11 Retro Low IE. And this is a pair that you don't see too often. It got slept on when it first came out, and every time it's come out, it always gets slept on. And this is a colorway that is definitely slept on because the breads is what everybody want to talk about. Hold on. I gotta do a little. Let me do this right here, so you can see. Let me adjust the lighting real quick.
I set the Sneaker Principal off. I set him off a little bit.
Listen, this is what it's about. A carbon fiber right there.
Yeah,
but listen, the 11 lows, IEs, fire. But what you got right there is just next level. I can't even get those. But I saw these and I had to cop these.
This is unapologetic blackness. This is unapologetic hoodness. We're just getting it out. We got serious topics, but we had to get that one. I had to get a couple of them out. But the other one, I wore a Chicago jacket. I got this from my man Nino. Shout out to everybody on the west side of Chicago tonight. I got this from my man. I'm not even supposed to be calling names. But yeah, because you broke those. Was 11s or 13? Was it the red and white ones? I tried to get them. I couldn't get them.
The cherries. The cherries. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was breaking back out the jacket to rock with them, but hey.
And all right, since we're talking about sneakers, it's been a while since I last hit on the sneaker app. Got these right here. Cop these right here. Listen, I don't know what they call. I call these the night jazz, that green and white, that Nigerian colors right there. Even though the swoosh is silver, I don't care. Anything with green and white on it, I gotta get. I gotta represent for my country, Nigeria.
Got it.
All right, y'all. Let me turn this lights back on here.
We had to get to them a little bit.
People are like, "What is this? Is this a sneaker show?"
I had to test him on. I had to test him on the Sneaker Principal. I had to test him on.
No, you got me though. You got me there because
he started.
Because I was like, what is he pulling out right now? Oh snap! Okay, yeah. See, I didn't get those, but so when are you gonna wear those? When are you gonna put those on feet? Gotta ask.
Man, I'm thinking it's. It's hard for you to reveal certain stuff because you, believe it or not, you do still have werewolves out there that can't wait for you to say something so they can do something. But I ain't worried about it. I'm probably gonna bust those out for New Year's. Okay. Throw on a little tux and throw on that.
Can't go wrong with that.
If the weather holds up, hopefully I'll be partying at one of my familiar spots with familiar people, and enjoying myself. Tux with some J's. Hey, I don't think I can go wrong with that.
Actually, I'll tell you that. That's the way you do it, though. Those with a tux. Damn, I see that.
It might let me play. It might let me play the next James Bond role. 300
You know
pound
what though?
bald head. 300-pound
You
bald
can't.
head black dude.
You can't have a black James Bond. And he just be rocking. He gotta have some J's on. At some point in the movie, he has to have some J's on.
At some point.
At some point, like come on.
He's British, so it's gonna be the Oxfords, the Bros.
Actually, you know what though? You know what's popping in England though is the Air Max. Air Max? Yeah. Oh, am I tripping here? Yeah, Air Max. Air Max 80, the 87s. The Air Max, the first Air Maxes. That's a huge sneaker culture around the Air Maxes in London.
Nah, I don't know about everybody else on the call, and I know we got some serious stuff we got to get into. But
yes,
them Air Max 95s. In Memphis, I'm not gonna say what we call them. We call them Max 95s, right? The Air Max 95, that's special to my heart, especially them original green, gray, and white one. Ooh, you remember that train? Some of them, that train. We're not gonna get into it again. But ooh.
So if you know what we're talking about when you hear the train in Memphis, then that means you've been listening. You've been partnering on this show, and you've been a faithful listener.
Yeah, I've learned better and done better. But ooh, them 95s. They rap about them all the time. 95, those were cold. I got several pair of those since I can't do without my 95s. Plus, I just got fat feet, so Jordans and 95s fit better. All right. We got to get to the other topic.
Yes, we do.
Serious topic. Where we want to go? So much happening in the world right now. We got HBCU students being abused. We got Argentina throwing one of the world's largest parties down there after winning the World Cup in interesting, crazy fashion.
Messi did his. Yeah, he did his thing.
We got. Where we want to go?
And listen, but even right now for football fans, right, this is not a sports show by any means, but this whole Colorado thing is kind of interesting to have a school that might actually be top 25 recruiting classes after having a record of 1-11. So there's a lot of things happening on that side. There's a lot of things happening on that side. But let's start off with North Carolina. North Carolina, Winston-Salem State University.
What?
That was a school, right, where the young lady. Yeah. So I did not attend HBCU.
Yeah.
I got into Morehouse, but the money wasn't right, so I ended up going to a PWI. University of Rochester, Yellow Jackets. It is what it is. I fond memories there. And I guess what I said, I was once kicked out of a class because I shared my opinions because I had a professor who got a little out of pocket, and my young 17-year-old ass decided to say some stuff, and he said, "Sir," he said to me, "Fine, sir, please leave my class." I thought he was joking, and no, I mean I was removed, but I had to leave, and I was withdrawn from the class by the professor because we could talk about what happened. What I said it doesn't even matter to this story, but we have a story here of a young black woman who's a student at a HBCU who was removed from her class. She was actually handcuffed, which means she was arrested, right?
By the Winston-Salem State University Police.
Yes, and the professor in the classroom was a white woman. To the best of my understanding,
was she? She might have been Hispanic, Latinx.
Okay, was she? And forgive me if I'm wrong about that, but it's just that all the stories that I kept on seeing kept referring to her as a white woman. But
she physically she appeared that way, and I'm just thinking her last name may be indicative of something, but that doesn't necessarily mean a name doesn't tell you the race, but she definitely appears to be white.
Erica Strauss. So her name was Erica Strauss. Strauss is a German name, Chavarria. So I'm assuming it's a hyphenated name, whether she's Strauss or Chavarria doesn't really matter. But nonetheless,
yeah.
I mean, you pay tuition, and at a college or university where I've been led to believe that the purpose of set education is to be a critical thinker and to be able to express yourself in a reasonable fashion in the classroom. And all I know of what happens, what has been reported, but I don't see beyond someone creating a violent situation, a dangerous space in the classroom, that they would be required to be removed by police. So, what do you know about the story?
I mean, I just know kind of the things that I've heard, and one, and then I've seen the statement that Winston-Salem State University released, and I think that they are wrong, and that administration needs to recall what they've said, investigate further, and re-release a statement. And they need to support their students. And to me, you're right. HBCUs um, are supposed to be institutions where culturally we try to get it right for students of African descent. Folks know I went to Grinnell College. I graduated from Grinnell College, but then before that, I went to Morris Brown College, which is an HBCU in Atlanta. Shout out to Morris Brown, Spelman, Clark, and Morehouse. So I kind of have the experience, both experiences, which makes me a bit of an interesting and strange person. But my experience at the HBCU. Surrounded by black excellence in every shape, form, and fashion. And I don't mean the bougie fashion. I mean you feel that you're at home and that you're comfortable and you're able and okay to be yourself a little bit more, drop your guard a little bit more. And I think that when I say that there aren't any safe spaces for us, that also includes HBCU. So despite what we think when we arrive at campus, it's still not a totally safe space because even HBCUs operate within our larger white supremacist culture. And we know that that just oozes and just gets in every nook and cranny in society, including HBCU. So and that's where I say we have a institution that is supposed to. Well, we're not supposed to see that. We're not supposed to see um, police having to step in about an academic assignment. So as far as I understand, the faculty next door or something called the police. But if you're the faculty in that class, I have it. It's not a problem. I don't need police intervention, right? I don't know. It just again goes to show that black women are unprotected in those spaces, and for a white officer to essentially order the black officer to take her, it's like
Yeah.
you need to stand up, have a backbone, and recognize when things are right and wrong. If you have a daughter, you what type of man are you to need to handcuff this young lady and do that to her? People just have to stand up. You can't just take every order that's not lawful or wrong. And at the end of the day, before I am going to it would have to be something just on the extreme side for me to manhandle another man's daughter, because I know what would bubble up in me should something like that occur with one of my daughters. I When they popped out the packaging, this might be too X-rated, but when they popped out the packaging, like my whole purpose in life changed. And honestly, I'm protector and provider, and you know I wonder. She said, I think on a social media post, her mother thinks this is not she shouldn't have been arrested, but where is your father? I just wonder, where is your father? because I am there. I don't care if I got to get a plane, train, boat. I don't know, tie two armadillos together on a stick and ride it like a hoverboard to get to campus. I'm showing up for my baby girl and my baby boy. Period. So I just think it's just they need to backtrack and figure out how to better support this young lady, her growth, her development, and it speaks to. And I'm sorry, I was rambling on a while, but it also speaks to just faculty. Like we need more black faculty everywhere, PWIs as well as at HBCUs.
I am in total agreement with you on that. So I think this hits close to home, and I'm sure you would agree with this because of our previous roles as school leaders.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter whether we're talking about universities or if we're talking about daycare. You know, when you're in a space when you have children, because yes, that's a young woman right there, but that's somebody's child. You know, and when you attend any kind of schooling, you're there under the tutelage of what I would hope would be adults who are there to pour into you.
Yep.
You know, whether you're right or wrong. And I've never. I mean, the extent of my work on the college level has been working right now as a principal intern coach. But I have had extensive experience from pre-K all the way to 12th grade, working with young people. And have I ever had a child in my classroom get out of pocket? More than I can count. Like, I'm talking about get out of pocket. Have I been cussed out by students in my classroom as the teacher? Yes. Have I been cussed out as the dean? Yes. Have I been cussed out as an assistant principal? Yes. Have I been cussed out as a principal? Like, yes. Cussed my life down to my ancestors? Yes.
Yes.
And each time, no matter, and I'll be honest, early on in my younger in my career, yes, I would get feelings about these words. Like, yes, like this child is being so disrespectful. Until I came to the point of understanding that this is a young person. My job is, as their guides, to help them get to where they need to be. And never, ever, and I've been physically assaulted by students. I have. I'm not gonna lie. If you do your work and you work in urban schools, yeah, you're gonna find yourself in situations where you listen. Either it's intentional or unintentional. I've had both happen. But each time, it was always a teachable moment for myself and that student. And I understand that professor was not the one who made the call. But AT, you're right. When that officer arrived in that room saying, listen, I got under control, that would have been the end of it. It would have been the end of it. And would probably have brought so much more credit with that student saying, damn, maybe I was kind of wrong here. You know, again, not to say that she was wrong, because we don't know.
Right.
But the fact that was allowed to escalate to the point of her being handcuffed and dragged. And the thing I remember the most watching the video is her crying and saying, I hate you.
Right.
Because if you've ever been a child, you know where that comes from. When you feel,
I'm not sure if was she talking about her, or she was like, I think in that moment maybe it was kind of that what was it, Michael Brown's brother that, after officers and stuff were in charge, he tweeted out "Et to America." Right, for those who into this is where the Ivy League thing come in, because people be like, are they really Ivy League? Did they really go to those schools? Yeah. Because I don't choose to, round all of my vowels and be in presentation mode all the time. But no, Et to America is essentially NU America, right?
And it also comes from Julius Caesar when he said to Brutus.
Right, Julius Caesar,
to Brute.
Et to Root. right?
Yes,
Which is just
we did do our homework and we did go to school.
the I mean, but it represents the highest
Yeah.
of betrayals, right? Someone who you just would never think would betray you in that way, right? It's one thing for
Yes.
me to betray, but for you to betray me in that way. And I think when that I hate you, I heard her saying it to that professor, but I hate this system that puts this knee on my neck, this boulder on my shoulder, right? This veil over me that makes me have to code switch, makes me have to laugh and tell jokes to keep from crying, makes me have to find ways to alleviate pressure. I hate you. What I heard was something a little bit deeper to me than just being about that one professor, because in that moment that professor represented something much bigger. It represented power over me, power over my freedom, power to revoke my here we go again, rights that I thought I had, power to strip me of those rights down to privileges that were taken from me, all in that moment, right? And I hate you, right, for forcing me to have to deal with that every single day, all day, every day, that I can't breathe. Because, that whole I can't breathe, I always say it every time I talked on someone's show. It remind me when you could ever breathe. Remind me is like when Dr. Asa Hiller says integration didn't happen. Remind me when American schools were ever integrated, right? So it just represented to me something much deeper in that moment, because it's just a young girl who's trying to get educated, dealing with that in a space that she thought that I'm at this black institution as a black young lady, and I am at least not physically safe, but intellectually safe.
And if I could add to that, because I hear what you're saying, and I think even on the raw level of telling someone that, because I believe that everything you said was definitely represented in her voice in that circumstance. But there's something to be said about a teacher.
Yeah.
Something to be said about a teacher. Because again, you never expect the teacher to be the one who gets you imprisoned. Because at the core of what we do as teachers, we liberate. We liberate your mind. We pour into you, so you have the freedom to go into the world and not just survive but conquer. But in that instance, because again, that teacher had the power in that moment to say, "I got this," but did not. And watch this young lady. And if anything, again, I'm just going based on what I saw in the video and the language and the chaos of that space, because she was put her hand up like almost like you did this to yourself. But again, as a child in a classroom, I don't care if you're in kindergarten, if you're in the first grade, second grade, all the way to 12th grade, down to being in the college classroom. Like when I had that professor tell me to leave his classroom because I countered an idea that he presented that I felt was offensive to people of color. And his response as my professor, I still respected him as my professor because I was there to learn from him. But again, I'm being told at the University of Rochester, we're here, Meliora. That's the motto of the school. Like always moving forward, always growing. And this man chopped the roots from my growing tree in that classroom and said, no, not in my classroom.
Well, let me propose a view for you.
Say again?
Let me propose a view for you. How dare you?
Of course.
How dare you, subhuman, that has no true culture, that doesn't come from a
Were you in the classroom? Were you in the classroom that day?
that's not Hold on. No, I wasn't physically there, but I was there because I've
Bro.
been there. But
Yeah,
how dare
you were definitely in
how
that room.
dare you,
You were a fly on the wall, bro.
person, person who is not, well, not even really person, but being that is not my equal, stand upright, head held high, and challenge my word. You're not fully human. That's, you know, again, and it's not that I'm not recognizing that I see a human being, but it's that unconscious non-recognition of one's true, full, equal humanity
Humanity.
that is just that's just problematic, right? It's that, like, power over you because you don't, like, again, when someone fundamentally, no, of course, there was some when people fundamentally believe that you are not equal, the same, and you are not fundamentally worthy of the same liberty, love, joy, and humanity and dignity that they are. It doesn't matter if you are, people are looking for the, oh, let me find a Confederate flag toting racist that, blah, 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 blah. But no, I'm talking about the lovely liberal that's just enjoying them. Like, if you, if I move next door to you and disrupt your entire liberal lily white neighborhood, like, and I have degrees from some of the best schools in the country, and I'm a black professional. My wife is a black professional, and you feel that we're going to devalue the neighborhood just by virtue of our skin color. Like, but these are real things that happen. Like, again, as I said before on a previous show, me and you have been in, I don't know, I can't speak for you, but yeah, I know what is whispered in those corners in Ivy League schools. I still have, when I go to this day, I wore this jacket with some red and black Jordan 1s because I don't do all that dressing up for campus anymore. Why? Um, and purses are still gripped. Now, security, they say, oh, bro, ooh, them Jordans clean. And, but purses still get gripped. There are whispers that still happen. And the sucky thing about being a principal is you learn to hear around corners. All my educators know what I'm talking about. Teachers and you just hone the way you hear. You hear differently. And the things that are said. People don't think you belong, right? Even when you're a college student at an HBCU. So it's important that, we need more black teachers and more black faculty. And not to say that I haven't learned, and I'm going to say this and shut up. Not to say that I haven't learned. I don't think I had a white teacher until I don't think I had a black teacher until I was in fifth grade. And I went to school in inner city Memphis.
Yeah.
All right. So not to say I haven't learned from my white teachers, but I think back to my white sixth grade teacher. I'm not going to call her name. Right. When I graduated from Grinnell College, and I thought the world of her. She was a fantastic teacher. She taught me academically every day, yada yada yada. But I heard from my father that she had retired and she was working part time at a dealership, a car dealership, just as a secretary, just answering the phone, a receptionist, working part time. So I'm like, I am going to go up there and say hi to Miss. Right? White, older lady taught me, yada yada, you know, and I thought she was really the shit. And when I get up there, I was one of her students. I always had straight A's. Now, granted, I was crazy as all get out. Anybody know me? I'm a little nutty now, but ooh, you just saw me back then. Yeah. She asked me, as one of her straight A students, right? Oh, what factory are you working for? Are you no? She said, "Are you work?" She said, "Are you working? What factory are you working for?" Because she assumed I was smart enough to be working. That first question, she realized it was rather insulting. Are you working? Well, he looked like, he was healthy, clean cut. What factory are you working for?
What factory? Wow.
So let me be clear. My daddy worked in a factory. Ain't nothing wrong with working in a factory.
Yeah. No,
Provide for
nothing
your
at all.
family. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. And good union job. They take care of your family. Nothing wrong with that. But so I'm a straight A student in your class, sharp as a whip, right? They wouldn't even let me in the GT program because I was a behavior problem. But that was the highest expectation you had from me. And I thought you were a damn good teacher. That was your highest expectation for me. So multiply that and amplify that times the infinite number of teachers and all that we had. Like, it's not that she didn't teach me every day. It's not that she didn't care for me, but her deep seated belief was that even being her star pupil, one of her star pupils, the most that was going to be able to do in life because of where I'm from, or I don't know, my family, skin color, was that I was going to land in a factory job. I would be a good factory worker and maybe become a supervisor, which again, nothing wrong at all. But that's the highest you could imagine me. So let's just think to what do you really think that professor saw that young lady that got pulled out of handcuffs? Do you really think they saw her as the CEO of CBS or a VP at a pharmaceutical company or a principal at a school in 8, 10 years? No. And just multiply that. All these folks out here that say they're liberal. I teach at a HBCU. But what do you deep down internally believe? It's the Thomas Jefferson argument, right? He wrote, all men are created equal, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But then when you read Notes on the State of Virginia, he essentially laid out the blueprint for modern science to prove the inferiority of black people in this country. And he was very clear about what he thought about the intelligence of black people and their place, though all men were supposed to be created equal. Fascinating. If you go to the Museum of African American Culture down there in DC, the new one that opened up, and please go if you hadn't been. Tickets are free, black people. Tickets are free, white people. Tickets are free. Go. It's a fascinating display. What Thomas Jefferson wrote a letter back to Booker T. Who's it, Booker T? Uh,
Tom, that would
no,
have
no,
been
not
quick.
no. He wrote it back to Benjamin Banneker. My bad. I'm saying Booker T. Washington. I think Benjamin Banneker, as well as just complimenting him on his intelligence, right? Which is something he didn't necessarily truly publicly believe about black people, but he said this here boy is pretty sharp, right? But it's that whole I don't truly believe that you are truly equal, that you truly belong. I mean, that's the devil. That's the devil in the detail that often is not discussed. Right? Yeah, I was out there at the Black Lives Matters protest. I don't want too many black children going to my kids' school. I don't care if their parents are doctors and vice presidents and principals and dentists. It's too many. It's gonna taint. It's gonna taint kind of my social contract with society. And I'll wear all the gear. I'll go teach it. I'll do this. But do I really believe deep down that this young lady can be anything that she truly wants to be? And I'm not totally convinced that everybody believes that. Because I got burned by Miss I started to call the name. I thought she was it. She was a teacher. I used to brag like, yo. And I mean, she was. I mean, she was a phenomenal teacher. I learned so much from her. And she just didn't, at the end of the day, believe that, wait a minute, you graduated from another double O. Oh,
Hmm.
you went where? Did what? I don't even know if she's still alive because I never talked to her again after that. But man, she be rolling over in her grave. She found out I'm trying to get this doctorate from an Ivy League school. She be rolling over in her grave. I couldn't believe. You're absolutely right. You couldn't believe. And that lady doesn't, that lady, I don't think that lady truly believed in her student. I thought I was raising warriors, presidents, CEOs, teachers, lawyers, businessmen, businesswomen. Like I thought I was raising, you know, monsters out there. You know what I'm saying? I believed even in my kids that acted crazy because I know some jokers that I went to school with that are crazy, but they're doing really well right now. Right. And I don't care. You ain't got to go to college to be doing really well. You own 3, 4 businesses and be making it happen for yourself and your community. Right. So you know, I'll stop.
So you said this is why we need more black professors in HBCUs and actually in universities across the board.
Yeah.
But I will say the same thing for just schools in general, because I have my personal stories where similar to you and that particular teacher. I had a third grade teacher who how they say hindsight is 2020. Looking back now, I know for a fact that she knew what she was doing when she got my mom into the school and told my mother that I was retarded, and forced me into special education. And what was interesting about that is I was new to the country, even though I came from Nigeria, where English is our lingua franca and that's our main language. But coming to America and hearing American English, and not only American English in South Central LA, then and all these other issues there, then also being a kid fresh out of Africa into a school space where there weren't any other African children. It's not like now. Like this, I'm sorry. Now in this America, if you're in an urban setting, you're gonna have at least 3 or 4 or 5, 6 African children in your school. It's normalized then. But then I didn't have that. So my shyness, my intimidation, and even trying to speak was seen as me being weak-minded. And then all of a sudden, with very little due diligence, stroke of a pen, I'm in special education. Thank God I had a mother who was not playing that and did what she had to do to make sure her son got what he needed to be successful. But that bit of what's the word? Embedded disbelief in the ability of children of color to be able to perform on a baseline level that's equal to every other child, or at least in equal footing as my child if I am a person who is not black. That's an issue. And again, yes, I have my stories and I survived that and everything else. And Miss Gott, wherever you are right now, GOTT, if you're still alive, you're seeing this, yeah, you tried it. But however, as an educator who spent 18 years in public schools, pre-K through 12, I've spent my career fighting to push teachers out who had no right to be in front of children, and I didn't care whether or not you were vetted and qualified by the system. But if you were in a classroom and you were tearing down children, I didn't care what their abilities were. Your job is to build them up. Your job is to say, hey, Mr. Njoku, I need your help here. This child needs more than I can have. I can provide for them in this classroom. And we come up with a plan for that child. But the fact of the matter is, what happened at Winston-Salem happens in public schools every single day, in charter schools every single day, in private schools every single day to children of color. And who gets blamed for it? The child gets blamed for it. Your behavioral issue, you don't know how to sit down and be quiet. You're not following my instructions. And then we wonder why we have such a wide achievement gap, why we have such a high number of students who drop out of school, because they're not being poured into in schools. If you're lucky enough, and I'm not saying every school is like this, but I would say there's very few schools out there that I know of where a child can go to every single classroom and feel confident that every teacher is here for me, even when I fuck up. You know, even
Yeah.
when and the thing is this, as a principal, as a teacher, as a dean, as an AP, I was always fighting the dark side in my schools. As a teacher, I was fighting the dark side and the teacher next door. Kids come to my classroom saying, Mr. Joke, in tears. I hate school. I don't want to come back here again because Mr. So-and-so said this, Miss So-and-so said this. And 9.9999999 times out of 10, it was a person who was not of their similar racial background. And I'm sorry to say, as a black child, the stereotype stands fast that you are less than. Unless you have people around you who could pour into you and show you that you are just as, if not more capable. But again, it's hard to have children go through that pre-K through 12, then get to college, and you're still getting that. And but Brother Tyson, let's be honest here. You get out of college, you go to the professional world, it's still there.
It doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't change, which is why I said, kind of the reason I said like that. I hate you was kind of that deep, maddening, just cry out of dealing with it all the time, because once you okay, I once had a kid say, I've done with everything you asked me to do. You said go to this big time boarding prep school. I went there, did well. I got out of there, went to Princeton, did well. I want to work a little bit before I go to graduate school. It's still taking me 3 times as long as my peers that I had better grades at, better grades than at Princeton to get a job. But I did everything you asked me to do,
Everything.
because you said going the hood path, it just don't work out most of the time. So I did everything that you asked me to do. I played every single game that you asked me to play. I listened to every single piece of advice that you asked, and I've been able to obtain, and this degree is going to pay off in the long run, but it doesn't shield you from dealing with just that white supremacist culture that's just ingrained and woven into the fabric of our society, right? It doesn't shield you from dealing with that, right? So I think oftentimes people think that we get into professional environments, and that because we've learned from a lifetime of getting stripes how to quickly adjust, code switch, monitor, and guard ourselves, that we don't necessarily feel the full weight and gravity. And because we know how to channel channel that negativity out in a different way, or deal with it a different way, that we're somehow less angry. It's like when I got to Baltimore, they would always ask me. I had literally had people ask me, "Why do you work with their children or those children?" Right? You can go and work at private schools and make more money, and you have X, Y credentials, and you went to the you are somehow trying to separate me as a black professional, as a person that's learned, as a person that's able to know how to navigate your spaces and your environment and navigate your world. You can't navigate my world, but I can navigate yours, right? To a certain degree. You're trying to separate, and you think I'm somehow less angry than the people that are protesting on the corner. No, I'm not. I just understand the difference between a riot, a protest, and civil disobedience. So I choose civil disobedience for now. Civil disobedience, right? Instead of rioting, but don't think that I'm any less angry in different environments, because you that's just foolish to assume that I don't feel the full gravity, maybe even more once you're educated. Um, I don't know. It's sometimes when people hear me say, I just want to go to Barbados and not come back, North Coast, up there past Moontown, and just I just need my books and some chickens and raise some mangoes, catch fish. That sound like a good simple life because it is exhausting. Literally the books that I could have written, the things that I could have done if I didn't have to have my black tax guard up, my black tax. If I didn't have to deal with this black tax every day, all day, like no matter whether I'm in the post office, grocery store, shopping, like I literally have to deal with it. Literally, the energy it takes to do. If I could put that energy somewhere else, I'd already be done with a dissertation. I probably had two.
Do you know? Yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, go for it, bro.
Are you familiar with Haki Madhubuti? He's a poet. He's a poet. I think he's from the '60s. Don L. Lee, I think was his name before he changed it to Haki Madhubuti. He had a poem called "Back Again Home." I'm trying to find the full poem. For some reason, it's one of those poems that's very hard to find. He's a contemporary with Nicky Giovanni and Sonia Sanchez and those cats from that era. And I'm going to read to you the last stanza. So the poem, as I recollect, talks about, a black man who finds success. He goes to college, he goes to university, he has the house, he has all the trappings of success that we're told that we should be pursuing, right? And the reason I'm reading this is because what you just said about, Barbados made me think about this poem. And the last stanza reads, he resigned. We wonder why. Let his hair grow, a mustache too. Out of a job, broken hungry, friends are coming back, bring food, not quite now, trying to speak. What did he say? Back again, black again, home. And it's just one of those things that's just interesting because, listen, I'm a proponent of education. I'm a proponent of making sure that you are equipped to go into the world and not just, again, I tell my students this, I don't want you to go into the world and survive. I want you to go into the world and conquer. But, however, maybe I have failed in reminding, or not even reminding them, informing them how exhausting it is. It really is. It is super exhausting, and often we are in these spaces where we are, especially if you make it. Like, I'm sorry, let's be honest here. Let's be honest here. What is the likelihood that you're going to have two black men, former educators, former school leaders, both VPs in edtech companies, sitting on the same podcast? One from Memphis, one from Nigeria, like all these things to say we are unicorns. Just this space is we're unicorns, and we still both have the same feelings of exhaustion because to be at this level, to function at this level requires towing so many lines over the course of our development from childhood to where we are right now. And again, I wish I would have told more of my students about this part of it. Because again, we hide that part. My teachers hid it from me. But it's funny how whenever I go, the few times I've gone back to Inglewood to find my teachers and I heard, they retired. When you find them, they're different. They got dreadlocks down to the middle of their backs. They look like the world, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, what happened? And you realize how much it took for them to hold on to that stoic positioning of leadership to pour into us.
Yeah. It's I mean, you said it so eloquently. I think that for me, it's just my wife worries when I ride my bike by myself around. I like to ride it outside of my neighborhood. The fact that I'm a 6 foot, 300 pound bald head black dude that I don't bench press 400 and something pounds anymore, but I can still throw around just a little bit of weight, but the worry she has when I'm riding my bike, and it's a particular area she, you know, that she is. We're no safer than, someone who dropped out of school in 10th grade and sold dope for 10 years, went to jail, got out of jail, and just trying to work right now and make it in the hood. Like, we're no safer than that person, because we still have to deal with, and to a certain extent, sometimes it feels even more, because you think that, oh, I want to buy this nice car. Well, to drive around that nice car looking like you look, if I'm wearing this, oh, I'm gonna get stopped. I'm gonna get pulled over. So we there again, when I said there aren't any safe spots, that non safety, it has a psychological toll. We're talking high blood pressure, we're talking, obesity, we're talking kidney disease. It does have its toll on one physically. The mental health issues that are out there, um, you know, it can, when you start to peel back layers and understand it, it can be a lot. So just again, watching that scene unfold in Winston-Salem State represented a lot more to me than the simple situation that was unfolding at hand. It represented the breakdown of the further eroding of safety for a young lady, the exerting of power by this white professor, the lack of outright respect for blackness in so-called black spaces, right? Um, you know, and that's not to say, and I want to be clear, it's not to say that white folks can't teach at HBCUs or can't teach it, because they do anyway, right? Even predominantly black public schools still got a ton of white teachers, right? But as a principal, I interrogated you. I want to know what you really believe. It was my job to root you and get you up out of there if I detected that you didn't really believe in the cocoa faces that took up the spaces in our places. That's that Memphis. That's that Memphis rhyming for the people that you didn't catch that.
Say
People,
that again
people
one more time. One more time. They didn't get that.
for the for the cocoa faces that
Faces.
take up our spaces and our places.
Ladies and
For
gentlemen, that was our poet of the evening, Brother Archie
no,
Tyson.
that's not
No, that's
poetry.
no.
That's how we
That's
talk around
facts.
that's how we talk around my neighborhood. In the M. Shout out to everybody down in Memphis, Tennessee tonight. Please be peaceful, people. Please be peaceful.
Yes.
Don't try and break the murder record down there. Y'all need to just settle down and relax. Don't just talk it out, or just stay home. Just don't bother nobody. Just stay home sometime. Don't go out there in the street sometime. But I interrogated everyone, black teachers, white teachers, but especially I had to interrogate my white teachers, and I had some straight up OG white teachers, especially at my last school. They love some black kids. They love some black kids more than they love some of the black teachers love black kids, and they work, and it showed. When you take kids that are like legitimately have to have an IEP, and you make them believe in themselves, and you make them think that, shit, I can do this, I can do a college thing one day. Like, you give a damn. But like, so there are white teachers that are out there, and like anything else, we have to inspect what we expect. I
Yeah.
expect you to have a deep love, care, and concern for the kids that are entrusted in your care, and I expect you to believe when that little son bitch look at you and tell you he want to be on TV, or he want to be a United States senator. Bet. All right, bet. When you look at me and tell me you want to go to Harvard or Morehouse or Howard, or hell, you tell me you want to go to UCLA, okay, bet, right? And too often that just doesn't happen, and deals are cut to keep you silent. I'm a behavior problem. So let me make a deal with you. If you be quiet for the day, you don't have to do X, Y, and Z. it's a lot of research around deal making in black children and the detriment that happens, right? So, and deals were cut with me because I got kicked. For folks who don't know, I spent most of my time in elementary sitting outside of the hallway, reading books. Thank God for Bush books, encyclopedias. That was my education experience, and for the most part, in elementary, except for fifth grade, Miss Pat Jones. That's the love of my life. Oh my God, best teacher ever. Like, oh my God, Miss
I've
Pat
heard you talk
Jones.
about him one-on-ones.
Yeah, that is I love. But y'all don't understand Miss Pat Jones, man. They know that green Mercedes and that fur coat. Like I just
He said she had a green Mercedes and a
she
fur
had
coat.
a green. She had a money green Mercedes. Her husband owned a bakery. So she had a paddle. She'd beat your ass, and when you fucked up real bad, you get your ass beat, and then you get a
Was she
cupcake
AKA?
after. I don't know. I don't think so. But Miss Jones had the fur coat. Ooh, and I'm talking about wasn't scared of nobody neighborhood. Everybody knew her. It don't matter if you live in the projects, you live deep off in the hood. Look, that green Mercedes come out like she ain't care. Whatever going on, if y'all was messing up out there, people pull pants up. People do. She was a real teacher, right? Because if she saw something in you, she saw something in you, and that's the only thing.
Snatched you up.
She never threw me out of a classroom, not once. She may have set me behind a bookcase and segregated me and a buddy to ourselves, and she taught one side of the class and came around there and taught us because I was that big of a behavior problem. But she said, "You're smart and you're not going anywhere, and you're not gonna be suspended. Sit in the hallway. You're not gonna go down to the principal's office. This white dude that didn't care nothing about black kids. He's just riding until he can get a pension. No, you're gonna be something in life." Say, I think back to save my life. So yeah, I'm like I want them teachers back that came dressed to the nines every day and did their damn job at all costs. Where them teachers at? Talk to me about.
You know what? That's a good point. We got 2 minutes left, and I think this is a good way to transition our way out of this episode. What is it about dress and teachers? Because I can tell you right now, I went to Inglewood High School, Mighty Sentinels, Inglewood, California. I can tell you right now, Dr. Kenneth Crow, this brother had the slick back hair, had the Jaguar parked outside, always immaculate. Then I could talk about Miss Mayfield, I could talk about Miss Jolly, who was my guidance counselor. Everyone was always immaculate. And one thing I'm going to tell you, I was fortunate. I went to a school that I had predominantly black teachers at for high school. Yes, there were some of them that shouldn't have been teaching. I'll be honest with you. There were some of them in there that should not have been teaching. Yeah. But however, there was a core there, that made the biggest impact in my life, and I didn't even realize it at the time. Because I remember one time walking down the hallway, and I'm going to exclude teachers' names. One particular teacher was walking down the hallway, and I heard, "Arr!" And I was like, why is this fool barking? And I heard, "Ski!" I was like, what's going on? Like, we were confused. What's going on here? What's going on? Then you heard, "Hey, barking." Like, wait. We were kids. We didn't know what was going on. We thought our teachers had lost their damn minds. But as we got older, they put our collars to what they were doing in their fraternities and sororities and everything else. And they painted a vision for us of a future, that was better than what they had for themselves, And it's funny because when people talk about standing on the shoulders of giants and of greatness, those teachers allowed for me to become what I became, what I am today, and what I became as an educator, And yes, there's going to be somebody listening to the show right now who's going to be saying, but why can't we just have good teachers across the board? I'm sorry. There's something about when Dr. Searles, my geometry teacher, stood in front of the class teacher's geometry with a baseball bat, and he was swinging that joint like, looking at us saying like, "Yo, if one of y'all here want to joke with me, listen." He was swinging that bat, and guess what we were all doing in that classroom? Doing geometry because we were shook. You know what I'm saying?
I'm doing that geometry.
But yeah,
I
today
know one
we would
thing.
say it was traumatic and he was creating a traumatic environment. No, he wasn't. What he was doing for us was tongue in cheek, but also let us know the seriousness of what he expected from us. Those spaces are very, very important. And there's something in the messaging coming from Dr. Searles, a black man, to a young black man like me and all my classmates that we knew, okay, when we were in his classroom, didn't nobody ever step out of line with Dr. Searles. And the funny thing about it, looking back, he was a young man in his late 20s, early 30s who had control of a classroom. And we all did math every day in that class. Like, listen, I'm asking, if you're listening right now and you're like, listen, I don't, this whole nonsense about teachers and they don't get paid enough, you're right, they don't get paid enough. But we need more teachers. We need more black teachers in our classrooms. Our kids need to see excellence in our schools so they can start to formulate a future for themselves that's better than what exists today.
Teacher pay across the board absolutely should go up.
Of
Teachers have
course.
it difficult as agents of the state trying to, but I'm finna tell you, yeah, we should have good teachers across the board. But just like in it's like in the NFL, everybody's good. But shit, it's some NBA, everybody's good. But that goddamn when that damn John Morant come down the court, ooh, you
John
don't know
Morant.
what to expect. You don't know what
Facts,
to
facts.
expect. And some teachers are that way, right? You got folks that are just teachers that, yo, you everything they do, like you as a student mimic, right? And I always say, and that's the thing I always said to my teachers, is that and leaders and everyone in my school, and that's the reason I was such a stickler on like, no, come looking like what you want them to look like, right? When we got dressed down day, like if you come all raggedy, like that's not what we like. Nah, like I threw my Jordans on those Fridays because I wanted them to know ooh yeah, it's okay. Love your Jordans, but like yeah, when all my suits and bow ties, you know how we do it, brother. And
Hmm?
it's it's one of those ones where they need to see it, they need to feel it, and again, they are going to mimic when they think that you are great. They're going to, and you're the shit. They're gonna do everything that you. I mean, literally,
Facts.
if you want to find out if you're the shit, if you're a teacher or a principal, do one of those little spoof shows where the kids get to dress up and act like you. You know, do a fundraiser, sell little dollar tickets, bring everybody to the auditorium, get the students a couple weeks to work on a show where they get to make fun of teachers and leaders. I know some people need to quiet their ego because it's very hard for them to not quiet their ego, right? So quiet your ego, right? As an arrogant person in life, I have to quiet my ego. When I say you will find out how much they love you, they're gonna be making fun of you, but you will know that they see you every little small down to the way you eat, the way you walk down the hallway, how you have your glasses, like they see everything, hear everything about you, because they love you and they want to be. If you're a phenomenal, or great teacher, right? I said it the other week. Get yourself a nickname. I told teachers you ain't doing shit if you ain't
You
got
know,
no
a nickname.
nickname. You ain't doing shit. You ain't know. If you thought you was the shit, I'm telling you tonight. If you thought you was some shit and you're teaching and you're a principal or you ain't got no nickname, you ain't doing shit. Get you a nickname, right? When they terrified of you, but they love you, when that whole classrooms be trying to, you know, you walk in, everybody just straighten up, and whole pants start coming up, and they just they hear your heels as a lady coming down the
You're
hall.
like,
Well, you ain't got
yo,
you ain't got
he
to.
coming, she coming, she coming. Yeah, everybody sit
Yeah,
down,
she
she's coming, she's
coming.
coming.
She coming. Right? And I'm talking about pants going up, cell phones going up. I'm talking about that is straight up fear, but it's also love. Cause they know you on bullshit. You bought
Yeah,
this education
facts,
life. You bought this
facts.
education life. You told me you was going to Harvard, goddammit, and I'm gonna make sure you get there. Shit. And yeah, you can't get there by doing it's just, so you got some just great, phenomenal teachers, right? I had the privilege of, my professional career interacting with the National Teachers of the Year. And it's phenomenal teachers. I met all 50 of like well, there's more than 50 because DOD, Guam, Puerto Rico, all that. But oh my God, phenomenal teachers. I just said, what would happen if it would suck for their schools, but if I just started a boarding school and got all of y'all to come teach at one school? Can you imagine? Like, but it was a rainbow whole coalition of different colors and flavors and shapes and all. Yo, if I had all of y'all, man, I'm talking about, man, I could get something done at the school, right? But that's kind of revolutionary, right? In terms of public education, you're
Yeah.
telling me that you want the kids at your public school to
Have
outperform
to have the best
those
teachers.
those at Exeter and Andover and Choate and
What would they
Groton?
think?
That seems strange. So, but I do think that, again, if you're a person that you have a responsibility. So if you're one of those folks that's showing up in cheetah print with your bust all out, or you showing up in tank tops talking about you teaching in school, like you have a problem and you need to find something else to do, right? As much as we need more teachers, we don't need more damaging agents. Like, yeah, certain
Facts.
areas need more police, but they don't need those police, right? And that's coming from like I got plenty of friends that are police, do great police work, family members, but we don't need the bad apples. We're not so desperate that we just want to add bad apples, and I think we have a bit of a caring problem. But man, listen, man, when you talk about teachers like Miss Pat Jones, man, I just have a reverence for her that is on par with my grandmother, grandfather, mother, father, and it's a love thing. I know we're over time, so I'm gonna turn it back over to you, brother.
Nah, listen. This is. Listen. If you're listening this evening, we didn't start off with the whole please share the link and all that stuff because you know what? From now on, we're just gonna jump into the conversation. And if you value what we're doing here, you're gonna share this information. You're gonna like, you can subscribe. You're gonna do all that good stuff. But regardless if that happens, this is what the show is about: is tackling issues and getting the perspective from two unique individuals who've been in this space of education for a while, but not just education. We've been in multiple spaces where we can lend a an idea and add to the overall conversation. So again, I want to thank you all for joining us this evening. It's always a pleasure. Every Wednesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Ivy League Hood Rats. Yeah. And I just realized we did a lot of cussing this episode. We're getting real comfortable. It's all good.
You know,
Fuck it.
it's the end of the year. Fuck it. It's weighty. Yeah, it's the end of the year. I'm still trying to flip a coin, decide if I'm going to Barbados and just not coming back, or So it requires a little cussing. But
Listen, they said that cussing is a mark of intelligence, of high intelligence, right? All right. So again, before we jump off, I want to give a quick shout out to my brother Solomon. Always present, always listening. Thank you so much, brother. And also Lee Wins, thank you again. I know you're a constant supporter. Thank you again to those of you who were listening and did not comment or share, whatever the case is. Still love you. Be well. Until next time. All right. Peace.
Be well.
And now he's been promoted. His job, principal.